So let us begin. So good morning everyone, and matagal-tagal din tayo hindi nag-usap-usap ng ganito. Hopefully naging okay kayo this past years. So kahit may maingay na aso, I will still continue speaking kasi mas malakas naman yung microphone ko kaysa sa mga boses ng aso. So our topic for today will be all about utilitarianism. So basic concept kasi ng utilitarianism is we do things that will produce the greatest amount of pleasure. And I will discuss it deeper mamaya. So I'll give you a scenario. So you can answer it sa chat, okay, sa message. So imagine yourself that you are a doctor. Okay, imagine yourself na doktor kayo. And may 5 kayong pasyente. Yung isa kailangan ng brain transplant, yung isa kailangan ng heart transplant, yung dalawa sa kanila kailangan ng tig-isang kidney, at yung pang-5 kailangan ng lungs, kailangan ng bagong baga. Ang tanong, ganito, pag hindi nyo nabigyan ng organs yung 5 pasyente, obviously mamamatay sila. But then naalala mo na may kapitbahay ka na healthy, mag-isa sa buhay, walang trabaho, tamad, walang nakakakilala sa kanya, at sa himala na sitwasyon, yung organs niya or yung blood types niya compatible sa 5 pasyente na yon. The question is, as a doctor, papatayin mo ba yung isang tao na yon na healthy para sa buhay ng 5 tao, or hahayaan mo lang mamatay yung 5 tao kasi ayaw mong patayin yung kapitbahay mo? What would you do? Okay, so you can just put your answer sa chat. So habang naghihintay tayo sa chat, and you can put your answer sa message, in-call messages, but habang nagta-type kayo, magtatawag ako ng isa. Let's say dito tayo, sige. Sunshine. Walang consent. Walang do not add any additional information. It's either you kill or not kill. Yun lang. Do not add any other facts. We don't add technicalities kasi kung kailangan mo pa ng consent, mamamatay na lang yung 5 kasi may mga processes pa yan. So you have to decide without any other additional facts. Okay, so eto. So kung if your answer is papatayin mo yung healthy na tao for the sake of the 5 people, you can be considered as utilitarian. Okay, so if you decide to kill the healthy neighbor na nagkataon na compatible yung organs niya sa mga pasyente mo, it's considered as a utilitarian act na ginawa mo. So let us discuss what is utilitarianism, and i-expound natin yung ideas ng right and wrong sa utilitarian perspective. Okay? Okay. So, I agree with the answer of Adrian. So, kung ganyan ang answer mo, this is not a utilitarian perspective, but that's okay. This will belong sa Kantian ethics na i-discuss natin next week. So, right now, discuss natin ang utilitarianism. So, what is utilitarianism? So, ang history ng utilitarianism is that nagsimula siya sa hedonistic approach. So, ang hedonistic approach or hedonism, this is a theory of well-being. Yung amount of success in your life is related to the amount of pleasure in that life. Hindi, pag sinabi kasi nating pleasure, take note ha. Pag sinabing pleasure, it doesn't talk about just sex. Hindi lang sex ang meaning ng pleasure sa philosophy. So dito, ang pleasure is your happiness, your security, yung iyong mga anything that gives you peace. Kaya 'di ba, tayo ay mahilig manood ng vloggers. For sure nanonood kayo ng mga vloggers. Nanonood kayo ng mga travel channels. Tapos natutuwa tayo sa mga mayayaman na tao, not because may pera sila. Natutuwa tayo manood ng mga mayayaman na tao kasi yung experience na nabibili nila gamit yung pera, yung mga adventures nila gamit yung pera, nakikita natin na masaya sila na sa paggastos ng pera nila through the experiences, and we deem that as a successful life. Yun ang hedonism. So if you prioritize your own well-being, your own happiness, you are a hedonistic creature. Yun ang minimina perspective na ito. So this is one of the foundations of utilitarianism. Okay? So, mamaya magbibigay din ako ng ibang example para mas lalo nyo maintindihan ng utilitarian. So, yun ang hedonistic approach. So, ang isa sa mga nag-start ng utilitarianism is si Jeremy Bentham. So, I think sa contemporary world, narinig na natin ang pangalan ni Bentham. So, according to Jeremy Bentham, an action is good if the consequences would lead to the greatest amount of pleasure for the most number of people. Ibig sabihin, your action should lead to the happiness, to the pleasure, to the security of the majority. Okay? Your action should be towards for the greater good. Yun ang sa utilitarianism. I will give an example ulit, or I will give you a scenario. Ikaw at ang mga tropa mo, 5 kayong tropa, nag-decide kayong lumabas at kumain. Diba? Ang choice nyo, it's either bibili kayo ng pizza or bibili kayo ng Chicken Joy. Yan lang, wala kayong ibang idadagdag ha. It's either pizza or Chicken Joy. Pero ang budget nyo ay kasya lang sa either pizza or Chicken Joy. Hindi nyo pwedeng pagsabayin. Ngayon, bilang ikaw, ang favorite mo ay pizza. Yun ang favorite mong pagkain. Pero, ang paborito ng lahat ng kasamahan mo ay chicken. Ano ang pipiliin mo? Anong food ang kakainin mo? Pizza ba ang bibilhin mo gamit yung pera ng grupo? Or chicken ang gagamitin mong chicken ang bibilhin mo? Kasi yun yung gusto ng mga kasamahan mo. Ayun, at least yung scenario na yun napaka-light lang. Walang mamamatay doon. So, will you choose your pizza or you will choose their chicken? Okay, so halos lahat ng perspective niyo sa doktor ay Kantian ethics. So sa Kantian ethics, yun ang pag-uusapan natin next week. Okay, sige. So while waiting for your answer, Basta ang perspective kasi ng utilitarianism, lahat ng tao ay may equal distribution of happiness. Yung tipong kung kung sa tingin mo na entitled ka na maging masaya sa buhay, lahat ng kasamahan mo ay entitled din. Okay, so while waiting for your answers dun sa chicken or pizza, ang principle kasi ng utilitarianism is that happiness is equally distributed. So kung sa tingin mo sa sarili mo na you deserve a happy life, you deserve to be happy, everyone also deserves to be happy, and everyone also deserves to be happy. So ang gagawin mo, you will prioritize maximizing the pleasure of many. Okay? So let us proceed. So lagay nyo na lang yung answer nyo dun sa kung pizza ba ang bibilhin mo na gustong-gusto mo, or yung chicken ang bibilhin mo na gustong-gusto ng mga kasamahan mo. Okay? So let us proceed with the next one. Ayan. So according to Jerry Bentham, when making a decision based on utilitarianism, kailangan natin gamitin ang utilitarian calculus. Ito yung magiging nating guide in order for us to make a utilitarian decision. So the first one is that, is your action going to produce a large amount of pleasure sa mga taong kasamahan mo? Or even sa'yo, magiging masaya ba sila doon sa action na gagawin mo? Gaano kalakas will be, tatawa lang ba sila? Magiging secure ba sila? Okay? That's intensity. Duration naman, kung gaano katagal ang pleasure na mararamdaman nila. Is it short-term pleasure or a long-term pleasure? Next is certainty. Okay, sir, di po namin narinig yung chicken or pizza. Okay, sorry. So again, imagine mo ikaw at kasama mo yung 4 mong tropa. So bali 5 kayo. Okay? So ikaw at 4 mong tropa. Lalabas kayo para kumain. Okay? Ang budget ng grupo nyo ay kaya lang bumili ng pizza or chicken bucket. At ikaw yung inatasan na bibili from either chicken or pizza. Ngayon, bilang ikaw, ayaw mo ng chicken kasi favorite mong food ang pizza. Parang iw ang chicken sa'yo. Pero, yung 4 na kasamahan mo ay chicken ang paborito nila at ayaw nila ng pizza. But since ikaw yung may hawak ng pera, ikaw yung bibili ng food, ano ang bibilhin mo? Chicken or pizza? Yan. That's a scenario. So habang sinasagot nyo yan, i-explain ko ulit ang utilitarian calculus. So like I said, intensity, gaano katindi yung pleasure. Duration, gaano katagal yung pleasure. Certainty, ibig sabihin ng certainty, gaano ba kasigurado na makukuha nila yung pleasure na yon. Okay? So, remoteness naman is that how far into the future ang pleasure na mararamdaman nila. Is it long term? Is it after a few years? Saka lang nila mararamdaman? Or is it immediate? So parang ganon. So sa fecundity, will the pleasure generate other pleasure? So kung maraming pleasure na mararamdaman yung mga kasamahan mo, it's a good decision to make. So the next one is purity. Masasaktan ka ba pag ginawa mo yung act na yun? Pag nag-sacrifice ka for the sake of many, masasaktan ka ba? And the last one is extent. How many people will share the pleasure? Okay. So let's connect this chicken, sir. There are more people who like it. It's 4 versus 1. Okay. Exactly. And so if you choose the chicken, that is a utilitarian act. Kasi inisip mo yung kapakanan ng karamihan. Okay? Ganun siya. If if you choose the what do you call this? If you choose the pizza, ang pinili mo ay hedonistic lang kasi you prioritize your own pleasure lang. Hindi siya utilitarianism, hedonistic 'yon. Chicken po because I believe that majority wins. Okay. So bale sinaalang-alang nyo yung kapakanan ng iba basically. So let's apply the utilitarian calculus sa isa sa mga naging controversial na issue sa mga nakaraang taon, which is the war on drugs. So familiar naman kayo sa war on drugs, di ba? Familiar naman kayo sa war on drugs, di ba? Okay. So, the war on drugs is another good example of utilitarianism na ini-implement ng isang government. Kasi ano ang pangako ng utilitarianism? Utilitarianism ay ang objective ng war on drugs is patayin yung mga drug users, drug addicts, drug lords for the sake of the security and safety of the people. Diba? That's the principle of war on drugs. At marami ang natuwa doon. Kasi nga ang objective ng war on drugs is maging drug-free ang Pilipinas based doon sa gustong iparating ng government. Kaya maraming nag-agree even though the method is killing the drug users, killing the drug pushers, it's irrelevant. The action is irrelevant as long as the result is achieved na nabawasan ng mga drug users sa Pilipinas. Okay? Yun ang isang example ng perspective na pag nilagay mo sa utilitarian perspective, tama siya. Pero pag nilagay mo naman ang war on drugs sa ibang ethical perspective, doon lalabas na may mali ang war on drugs. But since utilitarian tayo, papayag tayo sa war on drugs kasi we see that as a winnable favor sa majority ng mga tao. Okay? So far clear naman sa inyo yung ganun, especially sa utilitarian calculus and how we act towards the pleasure of the majority. Okay, so let us proceed with the next one. So, merong mga criticisms or merong mga nag-question sa utilitarian perspective ni Jeremy Bentham. Kasi, the main criticism of Bentham's theory is that there is no room for judgment when it comes to our action. Kasi, since ang objective mo sa utilitarianism is the pleasure na mararamdaman ng karamihan, so regardless of your action, pag narating mo yung pleasure ng karamihan, according kay Bentham, that act is good. Diba? So that's why war on drugs is heavily criticized because it justifies the ends justify the means. Yun yung perspective ng war on drugs. So kahit pumatay ng maraming drug users, okay lang kasi ang kalalabasan ay peace sa bansa pag nawala ng drug users. Kaya maraming kumontra sa war on drugs kasi nga the method is absurd. Pero marami rin nag-defend kasi anong gugustuhin mo? Maraming drug users marami ang drug users sa Pilipinas na nasa kulungan or nakalaya lang. Di patayin na lang lahat para mabawasan. That's the argument. So makikita nyo yung iba't ibang ethical arguments sa war on drugs. And yun ang criticism sa utilitarianism. Kasi if you are a utilitarian, dun sa based sa example natin sa doctor kanina, you won't hesitate to kill the healthy patient. You will not hesitate to kill kasi it's 5 against 1. 5 tao ang mabubuhay kumpara lang sa isang mawawala. So may profit ka ng 4 na tao. But in ethics, walang ethical perspective na nagsasabi na it is ever okay to kill a person. Kaya marami ang kumukontra sa utilitarianism ni Bentham kasi yun ang pinupush niya. Yes, you are doing things for the happiness of the majority, but sometimes hindi mo na napapansin yung actions mo. 'Di ba? So dito naman papasok yung sino dito ang may mga boyfriend? Or sige, sino dito ang may boyfriend or girlfriend? Sige. Sino dito ang mga may jowa na? Ako po wala. Okay lang Christine. So hindi ka makaka-relate sa sasabihin ko. Okay, hindi. So pagdating kasi sa magjowa, 'di ba for sure merong scenario ang mga magjowa na kung saan ang rason ng lalaki or ang rason ng babae. Kaya kita hinihigpitan kasi gusto kong safe ka. Kaya kita hinihigpitan kasi gusto kong masaya ka. Diba? Naririnig natin yan. Which is okay. Which is good kasi pinoprotektahan kayo. Pero kung ang methods ng partner nyo ay naaabuso ka, sinasaktan ka na physically para sumunod lang sa gusto niya, there is something wrong with that. Pero in a utilitarian perspective, walang problema na inaabuso ka so long as secured ka. Okay? Kaya doon madaming conflicts kay Jeremy Bentham. Kaya dito dumating si John Stuart Mill. Kasi nakita ni John Stuart Mill na may malaki talagang problema kay Bentham sa perspective niya. So, he decided his own version of utilitarianism. So, according to him, there are 2 types of pleasures. The first one is the lower pleasure. So this focuses more on physical pleasure. So dito na yung sex, alcohol drinking, smoking, gambling, lahat nandito na. So sa higher pleasure naman, this focuses more on the intellectual pleasures. Your art appreciation, your reading, studying, your peace of mind, your security, your happiness in life, your inner peace ay dito sa higher pleasure. So according kay John Stuart Mill, man will prefer to act on the quality of their actions. So this is very different kay Jeremy Bentham. Kasi kay Jeremy Bentham, he focuses more on the quantity rather than the quality of the actions. So kay John Stuart Mill, it is more important to focus on the expression of his or her own taste. So kung gusto mong tumulong sa ibang tao, then go ahead. Kung gusto mo namang i-protect, kung gusto mo naman i-preserve ang sarili mong happiness, then go ahead. Nasa sa'yo yan. Yun ang kay John Stuart Mill. You don't need to be ang tawag yan, hindi mo kailangan maging extreme in making decisions for the majority. Kailangan pa rin isipin mo yung quality. Let's say for example, dun sa doktor, 'di ba? Dun sa doktor na scenario. So kung ikaw si Bentham, papatayin mo yung tao na yun. Pero kung ikaw si John Stuart Mill, isipin mo yung quality ng action mo. Yes, nakasave ka ng 5 tao, pero yung konsensya mo naman, kakainin ka ng buhay ng konsensya mo. And hindi siya healthy for your own happiness. So you would just let the 5 people die and just comfort the family. Because that's the quality of happiness na kailangan mong gawin kasi wala ka nang magagawa. Hindi talaga makasurvive yung 5. You just have to comfort the family that hindi nahirapan mamatay yung kapamilya nila. Okay? So far, clear sa inyo ang difference ni John Stuart Mill and ni Jeremy Bentham. Kung nababagalan kayo mag-type, pwede mo kayo magsalita. Sige. Okay, so clear naman sa inyo si John Stuart Mill and si Bentham. Okay. So kung clear, let's proceed.
Yes po.
Okay, let's proceed with the next one. So, dahil kay Jeremy Bentham at kay John Stuart Mill, dito lumabas ang act utilitarianism versus rule utilitarianism. Ang act utilitarianism ay naka-based kay Bentham, on which action is irrelevant as long as the greatest number amount of pleasures is produced. Okay? So, again, the ends justify the means. Yun ang perspective ng act utilitarian. However, rule utilitarianism is there should be a set of rules that if followed would produce the greatest amount of total happiness. Pero, the problem with the certain rules is that different group of societies ay may iba't ibang rules sa grupo nila. Example, kung ang grupo nyo ay masaya sa pagpatay ng tao, kung ang grupo nyo ay masaya sa pag-rape ng mga babae because it's your right, parang yun ang pinaniniwala mo na it's your right to rape women, and if you follow that rule, then you will be happy. So, bad siya. That's a criticism sa rule utilitarianism. So, ang suggestion ng nagpupush ng rule utilitarianism is that create a set of rules na kung saan it would not benefit yourself but also it would benefit the majority of the people, na yung common ground na sa tingin nila ay tama. Pero there's still some risk to that. Pero yun ang minimin dito. So, papasok naman tayo sa isang non-hedonistic utilitarianism. Okay, so kung kanina ay hedonistic na naggagawa ka ng bagay for your pleasure or for the pleasure of others, kay Peter Singer naman, he believes that a person's life is determined by the satisfaction of his or her own preference. Question sa inyo, are you satisfied that you are a student right now? Satisfied ka ba kung asan ka ngayon sa buhay? If hindi ka satisfied on your own choices, on your own preference, then according sa utilitarian perspective ni Peter Singer, then you should pursue the things that makes you happy. You pursue the things that makes you grow as a person. You act on the things that would make you happy, that would help make you grow. That's irrelevant na yan doon. Irrelevant na yan kung it's either for the majority or for your own pleasure lang. Important is masaya ka kung ano yung decision mo sa buhay. Okay, so ganun ang kay Peter Singer. And I believe, kahit di ko man kayo nakikita, mas prefer nyo ang perspective ni Singer kumpara sa nakaraan na dalawa na utilitarianism perspective. Okay? But bottom line, pag sinabing utilitarianism, you are acting on things in order to produce pleasure for yourself or pleasure for the other people. Okay? Even though marami akong sinabing criticisms on utilitarianism, there's still good in it. Okay? Meron bang point sa buhay nyo na sinaalang-alang nyo yung gusto nyo para sa ikakabuti ng mga mahal mo sa buhay? Pwede nyo sagutin tong tanong na to, ha? Meron bang point sa buhay nyo na kung saan sa tingin yung mas inuna mo yung kapakanan ng iba kaysa sa'yo? Diba? It's utilitarian act. What you did is a utilitarian act kasi isinantabi mo yung pleasure, yung sarili mong pleasure para sa kapakanan ng ibang tao. Okay? It's a utilitarian act. So, Di naman laging negative ang utilitarian. Nagiging negative lang ang utilitarianism if your action is questionable para marating yung gusto mo or marating yung happiness para sa iba. Okay? So dito tayo papasok sa isang scenario. And may scenario akong ibibigay sa inyo pero sa GC na lang para mas maganda. Okay? So but you have to remember, since this is ethics, utilitarianism, you can practice it in your life kung gusto nyo. Basta ang principle ng utilitarianism, you prioritize. It's either you prioritize the pleasure of other people or you prioritize the pleasure or satisfaction of your own preference. Ganun siya. Even your parents are practicing utilitarianism. I am sure of that. Marami ng pleasure sa buhay ng parents nyo ang tinalikuran nila para lang sa inyo. So that's part. It's part of utilitarianism. So let's proceed with the ending of this discussion. So, you have to remember the basis of what is right or what is wrong should not only be based on our personal point of view. You should look into the general rule that is acceptable to everyone. Okay, so hindi naman ibig sabihin na sa tingin mo tama yan, tama na yung sitwasyon. Hindi. Hindi yan lagi nakaikot sa pananaw mo lang. But rather, you have to think of the majority. Kung ano yung katanggap-tanggap sa karamihan and what will produce the safety and security of the people around you. Kaso, this is the problem. Pagdating kasi sa ethics, the hardest goal of ethics is to have a fixed standard on what is right, and it is up to us on how to act on it. Okay, so marami kasing pananaw sa ethics na madidiscuss natin, matututunan nyo in this semester. At lahat sila tinuturo kung ano ang tama at mali. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's your choice, it's your music. Depende sa inyo kung ano yung papabor sa sitwasyon nyo. And there's actually an ethical perspective on that. On you will act based on the situation given. So, we will discuss on that in the future. Pero, it's your choice. Binibigay ko sa inyo yung choices lang. I just give you choices of ethical perspective na kung gusto mong gawin sa buhay mo, go ahead. Okay, so with that, may mga questions pa ba kayo?